Okay, Unit 6 Test Study Guide, question number 1. Write 32% as a fraction in simplest form. This goes back to lesson 1 of this section, of this unit, and the key thing here is the word percent. And remember that cent means 100, so this just means per 100. So this, or it means out of 100. So this 32% is the same thing as 32 out of 100. Notice you drop the percent sign because that is taken care of by saying that it is out of 100, and it would not be correct to put the percent sign there. That's a fraction. Reduce it. Divide them both by 2. You would end up getting 16 over 50. Divide them both by 2 again, and you get 8 over 25. Okay, and that would be the correct answer. 32% as a fraction in simplest form. Okay, this question, I'm going to use a similar I'm going to use the same tactic that I just used on this last problem. Percent means out of 100, so this means 12 5/10 out of 100. That's a fraction, but that's not the normal way you write a fraction. You normally don't have fractions with decimals in as part of them. So we need to get rid of that decimal point, which most students would say, oh, you just move it to the right. But remember, mathematically what you're doing is you're multiplying that by 10. That is what moves the decimal point to the right one place. Do the same thing to the bottom. Multiply both of the bottom by 10, and you end up with 125 over 1,000. There you have your fraction, but now you need it in simplest form, so you need to reduce. They both end with a 5 and a 0. That means they're both divisible by 5. And so I'm going to take it a step at a time and just go ahead and divide both of these by 5. Dividing by 5, and yes, you could use a calculator, you would get 25 over, and that would be 200. They're both divisible by 5 again, so divide them both by 5, you get 5 over 40. Again, they're both divisible by 5, and you're going to end up with 1 over 8, and that is 12 5/10% as a fraction in simplest form. Okay, question number 3. There are a couple of ways to handle this. One way is to think about what that fraction means. That fraction means that you have 3/8 means that you have 3 parts, and it takes 8 pieces to make a whole thing. That's part over whole. That applies to what we've been using in the percent proportion. Our percent proportion was percent over 100 is equal to our part over our whole amount. So we can use this to change this into a percent. It would be x over 100, since we're looking for the percent, and our part is 3, our whole amount is 8. Cross multiply, you get 8x is equal to 3 times 100, which is 300. To solve this equation, then, you need to get the x by itself. You divide by 8. Divide this side by 8 also. You get x equals, and then 300 divided by 8, you can use the calculator, and it is going to be 300 divided by 8, and you come up with 37.5, 37 5/10. If you left it that way, I would have to take points off. You're being asked for a percent. That just says 37 5/10. It To make it say 37 5/10%, it must have a percent sign. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to change it to a decimal. And remember, this bar means divide, so you're going to do 3 divided by 8, and if you do 3 divided by 8, you come up with 0.375, 375 thousandths. And again, remember that is over 1. You want it to be over 100. So you'd multiply the bottom by 100, multiply the top by 100. That would move your decimal point 2 places to the right. It's going to make it get bigger, and you come up with that exact same answer. 37 5/10 out of 100, or 37 5/10%. Both ways work. Number 4, same idea. You've got 2 ways you can attack it. You can handle this as a fraction, 1 3/4. Make it into a fraction greater than 1, or an improper fraction. You would say you would do 1 times the 4, add it to the top. You would get 7/4. 1 3/4 is the same thing as 7/4. And again, that is your part over your whole. So you can do the percent over 100, so x over 100 is equal to our part over our whole, so that is 7/4. Cross multiply, you're going to get 4x equals 7 times 100, which is 700. To get the x by itself, divide by 4, and you're going to get x equals, again, let's go to the calculator, 700 divided by 4 is equal to 175. I see it gets a lot of glare there. 175. 175%. Does that answer make sense? I would hope it would, because you think about it, 100% would mean 100 out of 100. That is the same thing as 1. Since this number was 1 plus something more, then yes, it's got to be 100% plus something more, and that's what we've got, 175%. Could you do it by changing it to a decimal? Yes, you could. And I'd hope you guys would know what 3/4 is as a decimal. 1 3/4, do 3 divided by 4, and you'll find you get 0.75. We have a 1 in the ones column, so this is 1 75/100. Again, that is just the number as to what it's equal to. If you wanted to make it look like a fraction, you could put a 1 under it. But what we really need is for this to be over 100. So if you multiply by 100, you will make your denominator become 100. Multiply the top by 100. That will move your decimal point 2 places, and you come up with your 175 out of 100, which is 175%. Again, you need to drop that 100 in the denominator and have it with a percent sign. You're being asked for a percent. Make sure you label your answer as a percent.